Welcome to Rauta interviews here at my hometown, Turku, Finland. We also have here my friend, Ritual Butcher from Finnish black metal or black death metal band, Archgoat. Welcome, Mr. Ritual Butcher. How are things with your new album coming out and all?
Thank you very much. Things are, I think, pretty okay. We at the moment preparing for new live shows with the new material, so things are starting to be little bit busy after a while.
You are gonna be touring right after the new album. The fourth album comes out. What kind of plans you have?
Well, before the tour we play few shows. We play 3 shows first in United States in about 1 month. After that we play Norway, Russia. Then we do a little mini tour in Asia. And after that we do the big tour with Marduk, 3 weeks about.
You're also known for being a beer enthusiast, and we have a surprise for the audience as us as well. We're gonna do a little bit beer tasting here because I'm gonna tell you a little bit the background. Besides being a, well, black metal and death metal enthusiast, Mr. Ritual Butcher is also a beer enthusiast, me included, and with some nice cooperation from Laitila, virvoitusjuoma tehdas, we have gotten a few beers we gonna taste while talking about black metal and all that stuff. So, cheers, and we're gonna start out with a Kukko Helles kind of beer. What is your opinion about this kind of lighter stuff?
It's good when it's hot. It's nice way to start the evening.
You mean the beer is hot, or women, or the weather?
Everything is hot. But
Hot as hell.
It's good beer. Good beer.
You mentioned prior to starting the interview that when you were living in the United States, you were get to know more about the local beer scene, tasting different beers, and you are also been brewing your own beer. Now, craft beer scene is getting bigger, but how, like person like you, very dedicated to extreme metal, suddenly gets into this kind of witchcraft?
I think beer, like music, is an art. Craft, like craft beer, and I started to understand about the beers. Noticed there were much more great beers than lager. Just like you first found some band, you found Overkill, and that is a lager. And from Overkill you find IPA, which is Motorhead. And in a way you start to explore and notice great beers. And yeah, I did brew myself beers, and it's kind of, wherever we play abroad, I always try to hit the local breweries and try as many beers as possible.
I really like this kind of bridge between finding new beers and finding new bands, because that is what's been happening. We are guys more than our 40s, so finding no new bands is not a gimmick these days, but finding new beers as much as finding new friends through the scene and music and all that stuff, that is a great thing. But how do you combine all this without getting too much drunk with your shows and all that? Can you kind of maintain the level of professionalism?
Well, first of all, I want to say that in my opinion there are more good beers than good bands, but when we started Archgoat and we were young guys, we were actually rehearsing drunk, and on purpose, because we belong to a generation that we like to play when we have drinking alcohol. So when we were kids we were really practicing about this, and for some reason we are able to play when we are drunk. And there's one story, we played in Moscow, the alcohol Moscow, and we have had a nice evening before the show, and we played our show, and sound engineer came to us after the show happily telling, I've never seen so drunk band playing so greatly, and he meant that we hit the note. So it was kind of a big compliment, but also we started to little bit think that okay, maybe we need to little bit slow down with the drinking when we are playing.
But we're not gonna slow down today. We are only tasting really. So let's move to the next one, which is called Kekri This is kind of a traditional harvesting beer for those that don't know the beer scene in Finland at all or in the Nordic countries. Very light, very kind of easy. Also, it's just 5.5% strong, so not strong at all, but this is the Finnish legislation. So let's have a sip to this golden tree. I think it's a little bit darker in taste as well.
A little bit more malt, I think.
Yeah.
It's more body,
Yeah.
good beer. Good order with it so far.
Something that you could basically enjoy your evening while you're doing barbecue and stuff, but not like getting wasted or anything.
I disagree with you.
Totally. So, talking about your band in general, next year you're gonna be 30. That's a major milestone for, any kind of band. But you also were out like 10 years. Despite of that, you managed to do like past 20 years more or less active. How was it, like looking at hindsight, how was the comeback possible to do so strong?
It's kind of something we did. It came naturally. We didn't think about it. We just did things our way, and everything came naturally. It's kind of one of these things we don't think how people see or perceive us outside. We do things our way. It was the only way for us to kind of. We of course understood that we have a legacy when we were coming back. It's something that we didn't want to shit about, but it was just natural.
I was listening to your latest album, The Luciferian Crown, by the way. Great album. Check out the review also, and listen to that album naturally. But I was wondering when I was, reading the stuff, checking out facts and all that stuff, that you were like around your 50s or so when you started the band. So you were basically teenagers. Now you are coming closer to 50. How different it is, playing as a teenager versus being a middle-aged guy?
I think, could I maybe say, like in sports, experience versus enthusiasm. If you are younger, you keep just bouncing and jumping with full energy, and when you have years and years of experience, you kind of know you are much more mature with everything you do. You know more what is the outcome of your things. When you are young, you are kind of, how can I say, what's the word? Impulsive.
Impulsive, yeah. Well, talking about impulsions, next we go a different beer. Yet again, quite this is wheat beer. I think that is the translation for this one. Yet another kind of a clear and easygoing, I guess. 5.5. Also kukko, which means cock. Not the one in your genital area, but the animal. Rooster, I guess the proper name for this kind of animal is. So cheers again, and let's have a sip of this great taste. By the way, our cameraman will get the share of this beer, so he won't be neglected. How are your thoughts about this one?
I like. They earlier had a more milder version of this. This one, it was kind of watery. This one, I like it. It's something that I could drink many cans tonight, for example.
I must say I'm not a big fan of wheat beers myself because of this kind of a sweetness usually bothers me. But with this one, I think, like you said, it has gone to better direction. But this is definitely something, one of those things, in my opinion at least, which is sort of an acquired taste. If you don't learn to drink wheat beers, you never will enjoy them.
It's always when I go to play to Germany, I always drink this Weizenbier, wheat beer, always.
That's kind of a their thing. So we could also use this as a bridge to black metal music, which is also some sort of acquired taste. Nowadays, there are lots of bands that have tried to be mildening the way how black metal is being, made kind of more appealing to the wider mainstream audience. What is your stance to this, that black metal should be for everybody?
Well, I don't put water in my beer, and I don't put water in my music, so I think there's no need. It has never been everybody's music. Making black metal everybody's music is making your whole scene much weaker. just make music, and it's just kind of pure luck or unluck that they have chosen out of all tens of different genres that they want to play black metal.
What do you think about this growing politics in black metal nowadays? It has been seen that for past 10 or 15 years, politics, and especially nowadays, the politics are more and more involved, both left and right. They are more or less in black metal, which is not the original idea of black metal. What do you think?
I think, in my opinion, it's really ridiculous. Black metal is like a name, the word black. It's about the philosophy, Satanism, black power, and not meaning the, you know what I mean. But maybe I should say black energy is a better word in this case. It's about Satan, the powers of Satanism, Luciferianism, that you channel into your music and put it into your music. This has nothing to do with politics. Politics is totally different. For myself, how I understand this, my philosophy, my religion is between me and my God. It is not for the masses, and politics is always for the masses. So I kind of see it's kind of
Diluting the black metal also.
it's taking the whole idea somewhere where it should not be.
What do you think these so-called Cascadian black metal, which I usually refer to as green metal bands? I mean the bands that don't want to have this kind of a dark side of humanity or human mind, Satanism, witchcraft, and so forth involved, but rather have nature, be it mountains, lakes, and forests and whatnot, which is also kind of far away from the idea of black metal. What do you think of that?
I think they have only make one mistake, calling their music black metal. Call it pagan or whatever, but stay out of black metal. It's not black metal. It's not about that.
Yeah, if it's about nature, why it's called green metal?
Yeah.
Okay, this one ain't green for sure. This is very orange-like, very unappealing in a way. This is not very gruesome-looking can of beer, but there are 3 letters: IPA, India Pale Ale, which is getting bigger as a beer style nowadays. One of my favorites, and it seems it is your cup of tea as well. So let's take a sip. This is also 5.5, which is once again the maximum alcohol amount what you can have in Finland, as long as you cannot sell it in grocery store. So please understand this. It's a cultural thing. Cheers, and let's have a taste. Now this is very different from the previous beers. The 3 first ones which we have, this is totally stronger in taste, also quite a bit darker. And how would you compliment this beer?
Hoppy beer, lots of good taste, almost like citrusy taste. I like so far the best one.
Agreed. This is once again those things, dear audience, that if you're not familiar with beers, do experiment. It's much like having the fun of finding new bands.
Yeah, you don't want to listen to Overkill all your life.
No need, yeah, and nothing against Overkill.
Nothing.
So, new album was more or less done by you and yourself alone, but you also have a new drummer. Before we talk about the new album and making of it, the drummer spot in your band has been the windy one. There has been quite a few changes every few years, but you two, you and your twin brother, have been the very essence of Archgoat all along. What is wrong with the drummer place?
I think it's not about what is, well, it is in the end what is wrong, but it's in the end input versus output. What you put in the band and what comes out for the band. So if that is close to 0 or negative, I will sack you. It's easy.
Are you the boss of the band?
Now we discuss always, it's our band. It's just me who's making the music, but it's our band. It's not like that. It's our band.
There's been this discussion, I've been witnessing it myself also because of my own band stuff, but there's been this kind of a debate whether a band should be led in democracy, like all being kind of equal in a band, and this kind of a dictatorship versus where it's one guy who rules them all in a way. What do you think? Which one is the better one?
What makes our life is that we have our own areas of responsibility, so we don't get conflicts because it's my job to do the music. It's my brother's thing to sing the music, play the bass. So we have our own roles. We don't have conflicts because we understand this. We have sandboxed our band.
So it's like a big sandbox where you have your own sandboxes as well.
Yeah.
But you are the one responsible about the music, the actual riffs and all that stuff. How can you handle that much responsibility and weight?
I think, how can I say, when I get my creative moods, I can create music first. I like the situation that I can make the songs myself, because now that I've noticed when I first time also write the vocals to the music, I can get the whole picture, all the songs much more whole than earlier, because from the start, even from the one riff, I have a certain idea how I want the song to end, and I can myself, without other guys, use my time, use my hours until I am happy with second thing on the song, third, and kind of make it the whole song, and then to give it to guys. And if they found something how we can improve the songs, I'm just happy to put it there.
So you are the one who with the final words, or does it come from the rest of the guys?
It depends who has the best idea. We don't have this kind of a pissing contest. It's who has the best idea. When guys have ideas, we always try the ideas. And if they have a better thing, like on a new album, there are things guys proposed to me which were better than my ideas. We of course use it. It's still it's nobody's own band. It's us three at the moment playing the band.
So you're basically distilling the idea to the max.
Yep.
All right, talking about distillery, this time we go to a different direction with Laitila's beers. This one is called Neipa, which is New England India Pale Ale. Very trendy stuff at the moment, but also very good stuff. This is, as far as I know, unfiltered beer. Usually, correct if I'm wrong, I'm usually wrong with many things. But this one is clearly the strongest one of the previous ones. I'm gonna pour a little bit more. Sorry, your pants. Getting also a little bit of this beer. I know I don't have the proper glasses or pouring technique, you just have to live with the situation. So as we can see, this is a unfiltered beer, very mushy in a way, not that clear, not the typical beer for, typical beer drinker. This is not for the lager drinkers. What is your opinion or verdict on this beer?
For me, this one is the best one. How can I say? The alcohol level.
Yeah, it kind of kicks in.
It gives you a nice body. I like this one so far the best.
Yeah, this is hoppy as well as the IPA, but clearly a stronger one because of the 2% more alcohol, which you can kind of taste and feel in the body, like you said.
And late in the evening, really feel it.
Yeah, these are the type of beers that you suddenly like surprise drunk, as I used to call it, when you're just enjoying beers and suddenly you're like, oh, I was high there.
But after some time, you know to expect it.
Exactly. But your latest album has some unexpected ideas, being an Archgoat album. What I mean here is that while I can clearly see and hear it's an Archgoat album, from the cover art, which is done by your favorite cover artist, but also the music is very much Archgoat, but then again it also feels a little bit newer. How was this possible? Was it intentional? You have slow parts, you have mid-tempo parts, and also just Archgoat typical fast tempo parts, but it's very diverse, very versatile, which makes it very easy to like. Was this intentional?
Well, I think it probably is based on the thing that I have had three this kind of creative times, and I kind of on purpose on every time when I started to feel that now I'm making music, I wanted to kind of little bit put the new elements new elements to each of these three. So certain songs sound really like our old stuff, even angel kind of stuff. Then we have these new elements which we don't have. And I was kind of earlier thinking that I want to make an album that has more elements. It's kind of not boring, only one song 9 times. But I wanted to have a new elements, even to make it more interesting for us to play. So I think you can hear it. Myself, I'm quite happy about the outcome because it's a solid album. It's like for me, it's like a novel with 9 chapters. And if people read only one chapter of the book, they don't understand anything about the whole book. So in my opinion, this is one of the albums that you really have to listen from start till end in a right order to really kind of understand the album.
I can quite agree with you because when I was listening it for the first time at your house, and we went to track by track through all the albums, it all made sense when you explained it to me, but I was wondering whether people could actually get the same idea when they are venturing through the dark paths alone. But when I was listening to the LP version at home, and I was trying to pay attention to how different songs are in the different, what is the order? You know, like there are faster parts and then there's slower parts. And for example, the track number 5, if I remember correctly, Darkness Has Returned, which has strong battery vibe, which is not very common. But you said that you had this kind of old school vibe there, like knocking on your back of the head. How did that happen?
Well, this song was something that what I in the beginning didn't even compose for Archgoat, but it was just something I composed for myself and played it for Mr. Goat Aggressor.
The new drummer, by the way.
Yep. And told him this is something that is not coming for Archgoat. I like the music, but it's kind of not what I can see happening for us. And after some rehearsals, he told me, play the song again. I played it and he kind of played the weird drumming for the song, and for the first 2 seconds I was thinking this sounds fucking great. For the third second I was listening, this sounds fucking brilliant. This is Archgoat song.
Yeah, it's different, but then again it's very much like your thing.
I think it's a compliment to the new guy kind of making something sound like Archgoat, because with new guys it's always great, you get new ideas in music, especially if the guys understand about the music, about the band, what you need to have on the song. So he kind of helped a lot with on the album with all songs, and this song was special. Without him it wouldn't be on the album.
Alright, let's move on with once again different beer. Back to the Rooster idea, which is also very known for this Laitilan virvoitusjuomatehdas, refreshment factory of Laitila, that is a small town in Finland. Now we go to the dark section with the porter. This is 6.5, so a little bit milder than the New England IPA, but definitely stronger than the previous one. So as you can see, this is almost like coffee-like color, dark, and probably one of the strong tasting beers today. Not the strongest one, we will save it for the last. So porter type of beers are totally different breed of beers than IPAs, lagers, wheat beers and stuff. What are your thoughts about this almost coffee-like brewing?
They are kind of, I see porter as a kind of dessert beer, something you have after your meal. It's not something you drink 2 bottles in the night. It's something you drink 1 bottle, and especially many people like to have after the meal.
That is a very good point. It's kind of a beer that has so kind of a strong nature that is not to complement, say, a steak, salad, or whatever you're having, but a kind of a dessert beer. Like, oh man, I am so stuffed, so let's pour some.
You know, it's a classic. People drink this with, for example, chocolate cake or something. You need to try it.
I have taste, not maybe chocolate cake, but some chocolate actually works really well with this kind of a dark beer. It's one of the stuff that might sound weird, but it actually works. And now this is actually getting awkward. Here we are two black metal guys talking about chocolate and beer. So let's get back to the track. So Archgoat tours every now and then different places. You've been touring the world basically, but not in a like Metallica or Iron Maiden ways. You've gone to the really exotic places also in past. You've done in Finland, of course, many times. But which kind of places are your favorites to play and why?
I think people make the place kind of with good audience. It's not relevant where you are playing, because when you are going on stage, you don't think where I am playing. But the time outside, and when you are meeting the guys, that's also nice. I think we have played something like 40 countries now, and we have weird new places coming on our list for this year, like South Korea.
Very typical black metal country.
My first idea was, why the fuck do they want us to play there? But of course we go.
Yeah, of course. So you're getting older, and you cannot do this forever and forever. Some of you have family and all that stuff. So how long you think you will keep going with Archgoat?
I had a discussion with my brothers a little time ago, and we both see there are much more things for us to continue than us to stop. So we are kind of, how can I say, black metal is a kind of river and a stream that is flowing, and we are the rock in the river. We are not going anywhere. I think I can almost safely say to many people that we were here before you and we will be here after you.
This is a very good point, which I'm gonna jump into as soon as we have gone through the final beer. This one is called Imperiali, a Finnish way of saying imperial, which is of course Imperial Stout. Now, those of you who don't know Imperial Stout, this is probably the beer equivalent of black metal. It's really strong, it's very extreme in a way. This is 9.2, not the strongest one, but gives you the kind of idea that this is not something you just compare with a lager and think it's the same kind of breed. So this is ultra dark, probably ultra heavy as well. As you can see, really, really dark. If that was a coffee, this is a coffee with liquid blackness, and we can expect some extreme taste as well. So really coffee-like smell almost, and kind of lots of malt, would you say?
It's strong chocolate, coffee, good beer.
Something that don't get it too cold, or it will just
Ruin the taste.
yeah, it will become too much alcohol. Give it a little bit more warmth. That doesn't mean like lukewarm, but it will give you the taste buds some work to do basically. Yeah, if we talk about like black metal history, we can pretty much figure out that bands like Venom or King Diamond, Battery, Blasphemy, all that stuff that basically came Celtic Frost, they were all really different from each other, but already mid-90s bands were more like copycatting. So you avoided that and you have stood on your own path, but has it been easy for you?
It has been very easy for us, but in the beginning, like any band, we had our own influences, but we kind of, in the beginning, it was kind of very clear for us that we will experiment, and when we found our formula, we will stick to it. But of course, we do little bit change in our music. With the new album, you hear new elements, but we bring them in a controlled way, and we are not kind of never forgetting where we started. That is really important for us.
All right. So we are gonna conclude this lengthy interview soon. Like I said before, 30 years next year. What will happen in the Archgoat camp?
I think we are playing one special, so we already discussed with our original drummer, so we will play some special, so we don't know where, when, but I think it's gonna be fun because we'll be having our original drummer on stage first time in 25 years, doing little bit stuff for us, so it's gonna be a good way to celebrate 3 decades.
Exactly. So, what are your final words to people who don't know Archgoat prior to this interview? How would you like introduce?
Stay out of black metal.
Hear the words, and you can always enjoy some great beers. And cheers to that, and we will get you to the final look what we were drinking. Sponsored by Laitila. We had some Porteri, we had some Imperiali. We're gonna just waste these after this interview. Some Napa and bunch of other beers. I will list them in the description box so you can check them out before you rank stuff, whatever. Thank you for having me and these beers.
That was mine.
So stick to the facts and check your bands and all that. Cheers.